Hi, welcome to Design It with Tammy Gibbs. I'm Tammy, and today we're going to be working in Artistly 5, and we're going to be exploring another style from the AI Artist Playbook, Mastering AI Art, Clip Art, and Design. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to be working in the Fast AI Image Designer today. We worked for the watercolor, we worked inside of the advanced designer with that video. And so today we are going to be looking at the different table of contents, and we're going to pick out another style to work with. So so we're going to go into the oil painting. Now, Artistly actually does have an oil painting style here. And I actually was able to get some pretty cool looks with it. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of exploring it a little bit. I know that a lot of people really like the watercolor look, and that's fantastic, but we want to explore what our clip art and our other images can look at if we're using some different styles to kind of set us apart and make us unique. Okay, so basically here is a little bit of information about the difference between the watercolor and the oil painting. It says, unlike watercolor, which is light and airy, oil painting is known for rich, textured brushwork. Artists like Van Gogh used a heavy impasto technique where paint is applied so thickly that it creates a three-dimensional effect. So we're going to take, and I'm going to start with this example prompt, and then we're going to see what we can do with it. Okay, so we're going to go in and we're going to actually see how Artistly's oil painting designer works. So going to check it out. We're also going to take and we're going to go into the artistic designer and we're going to compare. Okay, so this is the one that we just did in the oil painting version. Okay, so we're going to hang on just a, okay, so we're gonna give it just a second to generate. We're gonna go back into this one. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to refine because, okay, let's just go back here and look. So this is under artistic designer. So it's given it a much more, you can see the texture under this one, and it's a little bit more almost 3D looking. Now, this one, to me, even though it is under the oil painting, it gave it the richness of the color, but to me, it does not have the texture that, like, if you're really wanting to get more of that dramatic oil painting look. Now, for clip art, we may not want it to have quite as much texture. So we're going to explore. So I probably for clip art, I would not be using this scene. So we're going to start with the scene like we did with watercolor, but then we're going to start refining what we want to get. So now I'm going to go into the section here on florals. And this is volume 2. We're in volume 1, but this is volume 2. And we're going to again select, let's select this trailing bouquet, the cascading bouquet. And let's see if we can refine it so that it's not a dramatic oil painting. It's going to be in the style of Okay, so we're going to differentiate. We don't want a painting, we just want it in the style of an oil painting. Then we're going to add that we want a trailing bouquet. And instead of a field, we just want featuring sunflowers. And then we're going to add and various complementary greenery. And we are going to leave the thick impasto brush strokes and the rich color, saturation, expressive movement in the paint, just to see what we get. Okay, so, and we're going to do including fern and olive branches. Okay, so we're going to test it out. Because we're trying to refine it and get away from the landscape look and start converting it towards our clip art image. Okay, so actually this, we got a bouquet. It is floral, but we've still got that oil painting look. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the bouquet from here. Cascading corner element. Suitable for a wedding invitation. Featuring, okay. We're gonna, there we go. Okay. Now see, that's very pretty. Now this treatment would be very pretty for scrapbooking. You get this detail and everything. Now let's see if we can blend the two a little bit. We're going to add that we want it against a isolated against a white background. And we're going to do clip art up here. I think we all have used watercolor so much until we don't realize how we can use some of the other styles to get some very beautiful things. Okay, so here we've got this running vine look, which is very pretty. So now this is done under the oil painting. We're going to move this over, this particular one, and we are going to now put it into one of the other designers. First, we're going to try the regular version 5 and see what we get. And then we're going to go over, and in version 4, we're going to put it here, customize the settings. We're going to go over to the style and go to the artistic. Okay, so here we've got a very pretty element here. And to be honest with you, this doesn't look at, if you just looked at this, you would not really think of it as more of an oil painting, but you get the rich colors and you get this detail here. So that's really pretty. So let's regenerate that one because it's a really pretty one and see what we get. Okay. Okay. And this one was what was generated from the artistic. So you got, this is the olive branches here. It's a little bit of, I mean, I like the treatment of it. I don't necessarily like this particular design. Okay, so this is beginning to come up with our little elements, and these would be very pretty for bridal invitations and to do a pack with. Very pretty indeed. So we've got some really pretty elements here that we can use. Okay, so we're going to go back to this one and just experiment and see. This is the version 4 artistic designer. Now, I did not think to click, and I should have, because it's going to show you the difference between when you click it and when you don't. I did not do this as the, this is just the plain one. It was not done as the artistic, but actually these elements are not bad. So this gives you a look at how that prompt would be rendered if you didn't click on the artistic, if you just did it with no style selected. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so now we're going to take the same prompt and we're going to put it into the version 5 artistic designer and let you see what it does. And then we're going to start playing with the different breakdowns like textures and things like that within that oil painting kind of look. I'm going to go in here while we're waiting on that. And we can grab some of the elements. Okay, so we're going to try this one for the blending of soft atmospheric edges for the smooth blending. You don't think about oil painting having that, but this is more of a glaze kind of a thing. Okay, so this is what it rendered inside the version 5 artistic. Now, I would not use this really for, to me, this is not one of my favorites. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in to this one. We're going to regenerate it. And this one is, of course, inside the oil painting one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add this here. And see what we end up with that. Let me go in and copy it because we changed it up. And we're going to put it in here. Okay. All right. So this is how it changed. And this too would be really beautiful for your junk journals. And that was using the setting for the oil painting. Now you're not getting that, we're not really asking for it to do the big globs of oil paint, and that textured look. We're just trying, but we are getting the benefit of a lot of the just the look, the color, the richness. Now see, this is very pretty, and this would also lend itself to like a pretty bridal shower or something, but yet it's not overly done. So I'm going to download this one and this one, and we're going to open them up so we can look at them a little bit bigger. so that you can kind of see. Do you see the detail that's added here? Now, mind you, these have not been upscaled or anything, but you do get all of this lovely detail in here, which definitely for those vintage looking things, we could go back in and we're going to um, do some vintage elements. Let's look at this one to show you how you can even make these look even more vintagey, but you see the little details here that doing it under that setting and with those particular things from the playbook, how you can get. Okay, so with this one, we're going to go back now to this one in particular, and we're going to go over to volume 2, and we're going to go and find the retro and vintage. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look for this aged paper and distressed print. We're going to use that. Okay. And we're just going to kind of add this down here at the bottom. We're also going to go back in and we're going to add, as far as the color palette, the dusty, vintage sepia, all of those colors. Okay. And we're going to put that we're going to take away the rich color saturation. I think we'll leave it and just see what it does. And then if we have to, we can go back in and change that. Okay. So we're going to try to change the look of this so that it is a little bit more, a little aged and older looking, so that you can see what you can do as far as, there you go, your junk journals and stuff. Okay. So mainly it did mute it some. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go in where it says the rich colors here. We're going to move some things around where it says rich color saturation, and we're going to remove that because those things are kind of canceling each other out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to leave all of that, but we're going to take the dusty vintage and we're going to put this at the beginning. And then we're going to rerun it. There we go. So you see we're beginning to get the more faded look. Let's download that one. And then we'll open it up. Okay, so you can see it a little closer. So we can go up like this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to say, go back in. We're going to go with this one. And then we're going to take the whole thing and we're going to go over and put it into, or go up actually, into this grunge scrapbook. And we're going to run it there and see how that changes it. Okay. So then you see the little elements here. Okay, we're going to go over here And we're going to now look at these textures again. And we're going to get this rustic aged promotional materials. Let's try this one, the aged distressed. Let's do this one. Faded gradient blends. Let's try this. Okay. 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 So we're going to take this now. And we're going to go and we're going to go into our designers. And we're going to go into this one. That's just the straight version 5. And we're going to do this one, but we're also going to go down and change the aspect ratio to this so that we get, okay. All right, so now this is a little bit too, it's not flat lay, it's a little too raised, but we're going to see what it does. Okay, so this is a little too wild and everything, so this is not really the look that we're after. So we're going to take it over into the artistic designer. Okay. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to go in and we're actually going to take it into the advanced and try it out in advanced. Okay. So here we've got okay, so this is the artistic treatment. And I'm still not crazy with that one. I really like these the best. This was done in the oil painting setting. And if I were going to go further, it would probably be within these. So let's look and see what we've got over here. Okay. And these, again, are sitting a little bit more on top. So what I'm going to do now is go back and take a look into the differences between these that are sitting on top. We're going to adjust. So this one is done in the grunge scrapbook, and we want to try it under the this mystic fantasy. Now I'm going to open up a pixel cut session. And show you how cute that can look when you remove the backgrounds. Okay, so this is actually really pretty for a junk journal. And it was done under the mystic fantasy. I think that has been one of the more surprising ones that I have done. Let's try it as like a double spread. And then we're going to add a couple of words, or maybe just one word. Okay, so this would be like a double spread. Okay, so what we want it to do now is we want it to be flat lay. And then I'm going to look for anything that maybe possibly, let's take the thick brush strokes off, and let's see if we can refine the look. Now these actually for junk journals would be fine with a little bit of raised. I like the way those look, but I'd rather have something a little bit, I mean, that gives it a lot of texture around the edges and everything. So definitely the Mystic Fantasy is one, if you're working on the junk journals, that would be really pretty. But let's just say that we don't want junk journals. We want a little bit more refinement. We can take this setting and we can try it under this dreamy illustration style. We can also try it under the golden style. Okay, so this is the dreamy illustration style, and you see what a really cool effect you get. Let's download it so that we can open it up and see how that looks a little bit bigger. So you get all the more hand-painted, hand-drawn elements. So that's really cool. And then this one is the golden style and also will give you that effect. Okay, so let's do some like this, because this is a shape that we can use several different ways. And these are the ones that came up under the Dreamy Invitation style. So the cool thing about that is if you can get the right prompt, it automatically tends to lay it out in a way that would be really good for invitations. You can remove the backgrounds of these. You don't have to keep them like that. Okay, so we're going to regenerate from this one because this is kind of a cool look. And then we're going to change now, and rather than having the sunflowers, we're going to start changing up the colors and everything. So let's do the peonies. And we're going to take the distressed back off of it. And we're going to go in and we're going to choose another color palette. So let's go with this bold pop art, just to see what we can get. Okay. So we're going to move away from the sunflowers and see what we get. Now that's really interesting. It's a very interesting design. I could see this for like a garden party or, just all kind of different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the quantity to 4, and we're going to see what sort of look we get from those colors. Those are very pretty. Look how beautiful the detail is on those. Okay, so if we wanted it to be, we don't want it as bright. Let's say we want the same similar design, but we want let's just do soft. Oops, I do not know what I did. Okay, I know what I did. I was trying to type it into something I wasn't going into. So let's do soft and do, instead of bright, do pastel. And look how pretty that is. That softened it up a little bit. And let's do 4 of those. Are those pretty? These would be really pretty for like older birthday invitations, real pretty for showers, like bridal showers or garden parties, that kind of thing. Lot of potential with that. So now let's take the actual prompt again, and we'll play with just some of the other more interesting looks to see what it can do, how it will change the looks of it. It's all about color and texture. So, the prompt, look at that. Well, tell me that's not gorgeous. And that's under dark manga style. I mean, really? How beautiful is that? Okay, so let's go back in. Look at that. What an amazing element that is. And you see all the detail here. Now, the truth be known, this does not really look as much like an oil painting because we've made so many little adjustments, but it does give it a little bit more depth and it gives us a little bit more versatility over just a plain watercolor. One of all of the different watercolors now we can blend these in and use some of the oil painting um, descriptions and textures to kind of give it a different look. Okay, so I really like this one. So let's go back in and see what we can do with this particular prompt. So let's put all of this. Okay, so we got flat lay, blah, 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 and edges, blah, 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 blah. So let's see what else we can turn it into. Instead of the peonies featuring pumpkins. Okay, so we got pumpkins, but we know that this pop art hues and everything, we can do that. But instead of being the pastels, we're going to go back in over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the seasonal holiday. We're going to do vintage, Thanksgiving, and autumn. We're going to grab that and we're going to put it here. Then we're going to go down here. We're going to choose this and see what it goes. We've still got it under that dark manga. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. But look how pretty that is. Is that not gorgeous? Okay. So that's fantastic to me. That's a gorgeous image. We're going to regenerate those. And you see how we've built this from the Playbooks all the way up and made a full circle to now we're beginning to really get some very complex and gorgeous designs. I'm going to go in and also tell it to give me 4 of, oops, that one. Okay, so let's pop back up. Look how beautiful these are. Beautiful images. Look at the colors, how rich and artistic they are. Very pretty. Now these would also be really good for your journaling, but for your invitation making, we can go back in. Let me get this done, and then I'm going to show you how you can convert them over. See how beautiful those are. Those would make some lovely, lovely products, and you're getting very artistic looks that are going to kind of set you apart. So now let's see if we can isolate this now. And if we can isolate it down to where we're just getting some pumpkins, So let's say, okay, so Vintage Thanksgiving and Autumn Harvest. We're gonna do away with the illustrations. And the trailing, this cascading corner element, we're gonna do away with that. We're gonna take away the peonies and just put pumpkins. And we're going to do this shape. So what we're trying to do is get more of just the pumpkins and eliminate some of the other items, because we may just want to have a clip art pack that just has these colors. Oh, that is gorgeous. Now that just right by itself would be really pretty. I would have a hard time. But the thing about it is, when you do images like this, we can download it. We can take it into our pixel cut over here, or you could do it in Artistly, but I'm using Artistly right now for something else. So I'm just trying to kind of do some quick, to show you. We can remove the background. Now this one did not remove really well, but we can keep, you can try with these. We're trying to get it eliminated. So we would just look how pretty those would be if those were just the pumpkins, for the clip art. So we're going to go back in and look at the other ones that it's generated. These are so pretty. Okay, so another thing this would be good for, like this particular one, like if you were going to do, let's just say, here's another product idea for you. If you're wanting to create some things like the front of an apron, if you're trying to do some fallish pretty things for coasters, or sublimation coasters and things like that, then this would be really pretty. So we're going to go back in, we're going to regenerate again, and we are going to eliminate all this other complementary greenery and all of that. Pumpkins. Okay. And then we're going to go up here. Excuse me. Okay. And, okay. So we've got the pumpkins here. Okay. That's still gorgeous. I mean, that would be such a pretty print. You could do some wall art if you could manage to get this in a shape that's going to have more. Let's just say we can put leave a blank space to write a poem, or just to add text later. And then you would have something you could do like wall art that would be really pretty. You could put a pretty little saying, then they could be framed and brought out for. Okay, so this C gives us a little bit of room right here that you could overlay it with a saying or whatever. But this right here is just really pretty. I kind of like that black background, the dark background. Those are gorgeous. Look how pretty. Okay, so let's try another one and see if we can isolate the pumpkins. So let's try going to the beginning and go clip art. And at the end, we're going to do isolated against a white background. And then we're going to baby says hello. Now see, now we've got our clip art. This is lovely. So now let's see what we can do. And that's different than most of the clip art that you're going to see for sale. So let's see what we get when we do 4 of those. What kind of pack we could build. Those are just absolutely lovely. They would be gorgeous for sublimation. They would be gorgeous for anywhere that you were wanting to build, have clip art. Very cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to copy it, and we're going to plug it into that clip art feature that we have, because just to see what we can do. So we're right here. We're going to try it for the full 10 images. And you know that this changes it up a little bit and varies the output. So it gave us more harvesty, basically. Sorry about that. My husband had to leave. Okay, so this really just gave us more harvest looking things. So that's what you're going to get if you plug that in. That's the only thing I don't really care for. I mean, these are cool images and you definitely could use them, but you just lose the control when you're doing. Shh. Now the puppies are very upset that he left, but this is going to give you way more artistic looking items by going in. And can you believe that this was the dark manga style? Okay, so we're going to go back inside because we really like, and we've isolated it now. And now we're going to try this with some of the other styles. We've got this really cool prompt, and we're going to try it with some other things. So let's try it under the golden style. We'll just do one image. Okay. So, I mean, that's still pretty. It really is. And it's a totally different look. So you could do a totally different pack with that golden style. But it's to me, I like the dark manga is my favorite right now. Okay, let's see what else we can get into. I'm looking for anything interesting. Let's try the minimalist illustration now. I know, but we're going to try it anyway. And I just love these pumpkins. They are so rich and harvesty looking. So let's look and see if we can get a more minimal look for our clip art. Okay. Well, I mean, it kind of is minimal, but it's actually a very pretty look. Let's see what we can do with that as far as removing the background, how that would look. See how clean of a removal. Not very. This could all be removed. I mean, you can retouch it. You can actually do this right inside Pixel Cut. So you don't even have to put it in Canva or anything if you want to get rid of those little little things. So you could download it. But I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't like their retouch. It just doesn't. I don't know. Seem to work right. Okay. So anyway, but this is, we could play with that and we could make it, a little bit different. So let's go back in and let's look at these styles and see what else, because I mean, it's kind of the least likely ones are the ones that I'm finding are. So this is dark manga. Let's try the manga just to check it out and see what it does. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go over here to the manga so we can compare. And we're just going to put pumpkin. Okay, so this is the regular manga, and I don't like it as well as the dark manga. I think the dark manga really just is much better. Okay, so if you just type pumpkin in, you're going to get a jack-o'-lantern. So I was just kind of trying to show and compare you, if that's what you're looking for, but how our actual prompt engineering, our prompting, how it really does make a difference. I mean, we can look back on these images and we can, you can just tell what a difference a good prompt is going to make, and how it improves your output. I just really think this is very pretty. All of those are really pretty images. These right here are gorgeous. Pumpkins. Okay. All right. So we're going to go back in. And this time we're going to try to get a much softer. So we're going to go into the unique dreamy style. Now some of these settings, I don't know where I went. Not there. Dreamy style. Okay, so now that is actually pretty. I really do like this. I think there's definitely some ways that this would make really pretty clip art. And I believe it probably would, let's see if it'll remove clean. Yeah, it removes pretty clean. So that would make a really pretty, that would be pretty on a shirt, like a sublimation. It would be pretty on tumblers or mugs and put a little saying with it or whatever. So that is definitely one of the settings that would give us a little bit lighter tone without having to do anything else. Now you've got to set it up right in the first place, but once you get set up, then there's a lot of different possibilities that you can get once you get the right prompt set up. Like all of these is literally the same prompt, but we're just trying a different aspect ratio. We're trying a different, see, these are pretty. You still get the detail, you still get the veining and all of that in with this. You actually still get kind of a watercolor look, even though we actually used the oil painting in our prompting. So it's pretty amazing that you can sort of reverse engineer it that way. And then these are very cool. So I do like that. Okay. So now let's go back in and let's take the same prompt again. Regenerate. And let's look and see if we can find any other hidden gems. Let's try this game style. I don't know what it's going to look like. But let's try it and see what kind of colors, color generation, and everything that we can come up with. Okay. So this to me is a more traditional kind of clip art style, like you see everybody with. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just not crazy about it. I don't think it looks the way that we really want it to look. So let's go into the comic book illustration. Okay. So actually, that's not bad either. I think that this setting would look good to do things for like kids things, like when you want to do a cover for a coloring book kind of thing. Um, so this blending, soft blending together with the oil painting setting is gold for the images that we do. I think it really is a great setting. So let's go back in and let's now go in and look at a couple of other. Okay, so impressionist, loose expressive, vibrant color movement. Just kind of looking to see what else we can play with. Let's try this feathered brush edges. Go back in here. I'm going to put it here. Okay, now this is still under the comic book, so we're going to regenerate it and go back to that one that we really liked, the dark manga one. And see what that, changing that up and adding that extra instruction to it. And that's actually very pretty as well. And again, you're almost getting, let's download this one. I'm going to ask it to do more. Let's do these. We're going to go in and we're going to grab this one, enlarge it so you can kind of see the detail and the smoothing that it did. But this does give you almost those fancy watercolor looks that are really cool. Okay, so now we're going to go in. I really like the colors of these though. Really neat. Okay, so here are the ones that we just did with the dark manga, but changing that texture. And you can see there is a little bit of difference between the texture and also the coloring between the dark manga with adding the, let's see, what did I add? The feathered brush edges, and back here where we did the dark manga, but it was these looks here. Just a ever slight difference. You can see with the shadowing and the coloring is just a little bit darker without adding the feathered. These much lighter, not quite as many shadows and that sort of thing. Still very, very pretty. Okay, so let's see if we can turn these into some productive products. So, what are some things that we might use other than, like I was saying, for sublimation and for stuff like that? We could definitely use these to create some amazing. Let's go in here into Canva and find some uses. Okay, so if we wanted to go to um, okay, so somebody really likes pumpkins and they're getting married. I went ahead and had kind of played with this. So I have the image is in the background. I used this layout here and I have adapted it. I nudged this over. I moved everything over, Harley and Jack. All of this is good except for this needs to come over just a teensy tad. And then we could probably make this a little bit, the transparency a little bit. Just so you can barely see it in the background. But you see how you can take just basically one image. It's this image here. I flipped it, and you can see how beautiful. Very quickly, I was able to use this template here. This is from Jessa Bellman. And I've made all sorts of things, just kind of laid out the different ones. And so once you kind of get this all set up, then you can really churn out a lot of different designs. Now I usually bulk design and then I go back and then I will do all the work to turn them into a template. I have to I usually do sort of flatten the actual design part and then just go back in and add back in the personalized items that they can personalize as part of the template. But this is lovely. This is a beautiful fall, um, would be a really pretty fall wedding invitation, or you could make it a bridal shower invitation. You could even make it an invitation to Thanksgiving, a Thanksgiving meal or something that's going to be a little bit more formal for Thanksgiving. So, anyway, that's how you can use some of these images that we're creating. I mean, I know that creating images just in and of themselves is not going to really help you if you don't also have the product ideas. So, okay. So let's take another couple of images and see what we can do with them. I'm not sure I want to do. I'm just going to do this and make a copy of it. Duplicate this page. Okay, so I'm going to take and remove this, and then I'm going to upload this image. And I'm starting with it and I'm not even sure where I'm going to go with it. So I'm just going to play it with a few different ideas. and we'll just kind of go from there. I don't know if it'll end up being an invitation or something else because this is a very odd. I'm going to try the Canva background remover to see what what we can come up with. So basically, we've got our image here. And we're going to see what we can come up with. Okay. I think what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just remove all of this. I'm going to keep this. And then we're going to see what we can do with this. Background removal. Okay. So I'm going to go in and now I'm going to use the magic eraser and I'm going to do a couple of things. Okay. So I am going to first erase the pumpkin here. Okay. And this is again showing you how you can use the images in a lot of different ways and how you can edit them. Oops, let's see. I'm going to have to go back and reset. Sorry. Confirm. Okay. So I'm going to, I'll just do it this way. We're going to remove the and I'll have to do the background again, but that's okay because right now I'm isolating the little branch over here on the side, and then I'm going to show you what you can do with it. Okay, so we're going to erase that. Okay, now we're going to go back in. We're going to remove the background, and now we have this limb here. Okay, so we're going to nudge it here to the corner, and this here we're going to move down here. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take the image again. We're going to remove the background. I'm going to go back in to the magic eraser, and now I'm going to be removing the limb. Doesn't take that long, really. Not if you're going to. Okay, I've got to reset it again, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to go back in and background remove. Okay. I actually don't think I have to do that. I'm going to remove the one thing. Let's go over here and remove this. And then we're going to leave all the rest of it. And I think that'll be good. I may have to remove let's remove the other branch over here. And I think we'll be good to leave the rest of it. Okay. Erase. And a little bit I missed. Okay. All right. So now we have this. And let's just say we want to we're going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, we're going to take and turn this now into we're going to look at our options over here. I don't think we want to use that. I think we'll want to use the transparency. So we're going to make this transparent now for the background. We're going to make a copy of it. We're going to flip it like this. Then we're going to let's see. Okay. Okay. So instead, let's say we're going to make some recipe cards. So let's see. Let's do from the kitchen of. And then we'll have a little line. We'll grab a line over here. Well, let's go to the tools and grab a line. And move it right up here. So now you have that. And you know, you could always go in and type it or whatever. But we want to do more lines. And we're going to make them a little bit longer. And we'll duplicate. And duplicate and do. And you see how you could do this. We would group them, move them. Here. We would duplicate and move it here. And then you could also take and go ahead and group the whole thing. And then you can look at the color and the weight of the line. So you can make that a little lighter. And then you have up here, you can make this a little larger. From the kitchen of. And where you can play around with where you put it. So now you've done like a recipe card. I mean, it's just, there's so many different things that you could do. You could even take and I'm just going to grab, this and copy it. And then you could even it's a little tricky when you get it. Okay. So now we can have a little bit of greenery or something coming up on the edges or whatever. So that's pretty much how you do it. Let's go back into Artistly and let's try our hand at taking this, which we think is an awesome image. It's under the dark manga style, but let's convert it now. Instead of vintage, we're going to do classic Christmas and winter holiday. And we are going to change it. Red and green. Let's remove the snowflakes and red and green. And then we're going to remove this part. But here we're going to change it to Christmas tree. And featuring see what we get. Okay. So we have got a Christmas tree. Let's Christmas theme. And I am going to say a Scandi Christmas tree. And then we're going to change the aspect ratio and see what we get. Now there, we're getting into it. Okay, so that's really pretty. So let's see if we can isolate it now. We're going to do 4 images just to get a baseline for what we're getting. And let's do the to see what images we get. Okay, so these are really cool. Give us some interesting looks. Okay, so we've got the trees. Okay, so now we're going to refine it. And we're going to take the soft pop hues off. And we're going to go back in. And we're going to go to the thick brush strokes. So we're refining now to see what we're going to get. Now see, this is a little better. Now we're going to regenerate, and we're going to go ahead and put clip art here. And we're also going to put isolated against a white background. And we've got classic Christmas theme, but we're also going to do Scandi Christmas tree and say whimsical. Add that in. Okay. Okay, well that one to me is not, I'm not crazy about that one. I'll just be honest. So rather than waste it, let's try a different generator and see what we get. And we may have to move the different phrasing around a little bit just to get the best image. Okay. Now this is under the unique dreamy style, and would be a much closer to a clip art that we might want to use. Okay. Let's just get a few more images. And we're going to get the longer one too. The aspect ratio. Okay. Because we're thinking Christmas tags, that sort of thing. Christmas cards that you could use these elements for. Okay. So now we're beginning to get that Scandinavian look. And yeah, that's beginning to look good. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play with the golden style. And then we're going to change it up completely. We're going to go minimalist with it. Okay. Okay. So these are very cute, and these would make some really super cute clip art packs. Now we've got this. This is using the golden style, which is the one that I would choose out of all the ones that we've done because it's closest to what I was thinking about. And we could also take and change it up since it's supposed to be somewhat whimsical. We could go in and we can go over here and we can go to whimsical and fun. We can go down here to the colors and we could you can pick out like these neon hues. We'll try those first since it's supposed to be whimsical. And instead of the traditional green, we're going to replace those colors with the new colors. Okay. Let's try that out. Those are kind of, I love all the little gold features. So let's run that again and see. Okay, so we're going to change it and move all of this down to here. And I'm going to well, let's move it right here in those hues. Okay, and see what it does. So this is giving us a little pop of those other colors. Kind of wild. So let's say Christmas tree in neon electric hues, vibrant hot pink with gold Christmas balls. And then let's remove the rest of it. Let's just do one. I always remember that there we go. The placement of all of your colors and everything, as well as your textures, do have a bearing on the look. Okay. So now we're going to go back. We're going to go to this watercolor style and we're going to see what it looks like. I know we have oil painting and all the other, so this is just going to be mixing styles. It really doesn't look that much like the, okay. So not as crazy about that. I mean, you can see that it's got your colors and everything, but I think these are much cuter. I'm going to go crazy and try it under the dark manga style and see what it comes up with. Just looking for all the different looks. I'm also going to take this and we're going to pop out of the I don't know. That's not really one that I would probably do. Okay, so we're going to go over here to the artistic designer and we're going to paste that same one to try to get our pink tree. Didn't do the right aspect ratio, but that's okay. I'm going to change it up. Okay. Okay, now that's a pretty image. We'll have to try to get it to isolate it. And this one's under the artistic, so to me this looks more whimsical. Okay, so let's see now if we can. I mean, that's interesting. Let's go back to this one. Let's see if we've got clip art. We've also got it to be isolated against a white background, which it did not do. So I could see these images being used for something, but not for the clip art. So let's go over to this one, which is version 4. Go to artistic and see what it comes up with. Now, that's actually interesting. I could probably use it for something, but it's definitely not our Christmas tree. So I'm going to do 4, and I'm going to select artistic again, and we're going to see if it gets the tree right. We're going to go over into the advanced, and I'm going to try it. There you go. Now see, these would probably be kind of cool. Yeah, that's not working. We'd have to do a lot of work on that. So this is the thing as far as productivity goes. If you see that one of the designers is not working for a particular prompt, go try it in another one rather than, I mean, you can tweak, tweaking upwards, but if you do the first one and it is just awful, then just move it to a different designer and then start tweaking because you'll save a lot of productivity time doing that. And so we are going to try it in just the straight version 5. See what we can come up with for it. Okay. I much prefer, and let's go down and find which ones. Okay. I like this. I believe that you could do the golden style is my favorite, and you could tweak it to. It did the regular colors really well, and also the we could do the maybe take the classic out here because I think that may be, and we could replace it with whimsical Scandi Christmas and see what that comes up with. I think with just continuing to develop that prompt inside the golden would give you the elements that you're really kind of looking for. Yeah, this is going to be that kind of wild and whimsy look. See, these are really cute. I even like this one, which is a little bit odd. But anyway, all right. So let's go beyond that. We've got these colors now. So now let's go backwards and let's do some florals again. So we've got whimsical, Scandi Christmas, vibrant hot pink, all of these colors. We've got all the acrylic and oil painted natural elements, thick brush strokes, blah, 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 blah. We've got Christmas tree. We don't want the Christmas tree. We want to do, let's go back over here and let's go back to the floral and find one of our let's go with the cascading bouquet. Trailing bouquet, cascading bouquet. Okay, so we're going to pull it back in. And okay, Christmas tree's gone. Okay, so we're going to go in and do one of those. And let's see if we can get the color. This is still under the golden. But let's see what it actually does. I did not tell it what kind of flowers. So, okay. So it actually did pretty good. This is actually cute. I like the little specks of the gold. So now we're going to go back in and we're going to tell it featuring peonies and complementing vines and greenery, olive branches, vines, greenery for dramatic elegance, suitable for a wedding invitation. Okay. Let's go back up here. Okay, so we're getting, I didn't tell it what, well, I told it the pinks and everything. So we've got peonies, and let's add some little baby roses and other florals along with complementing olive branches, vines, burn, and greenery. And now I have whimsical in there because we were just moving straight from these colors and going into the. Okay, so it started adding some other things. Now we're going to move it over to manga, the dark manga. And we're going to take the whimsical out of it and the Scandi. And let's see, we're going to take the colors out and let it just create its own colors. So I'll take the Scandi out and the whimsical and see if we can. Okay, I think that we're good. We're going to do 4 and see what it comes up with. So we're wanting to move back from the whimsical and show you that you can take that same prompt and go into something a lot different. So look at those, how pretty. Okay, so we're going to try to get it to eliminate the bouquet. And I'm going to put element instead of bouquet because bouquet, a lot of times it gives you those stems. I'm going to put swag maybe. Let's see. There we go. Now we've got kind of a little swag element, which is really pretty. Let's see if we change it to a spray. And we do this. Nope. I'll do 4 of them. Let's see what variations we get. Now we didn't give it colors. It's just doing the colors that it thinks we want, which are actually very pretty colors. And some really pretty elements as well. This would be really pretty for your invitations. This would too. So you've got your spray. All of those would make a beautiful. Now, let's go full circle back to your fall. So instead of, now this says, it said Christmas, right? Okay, so, but we told it to do things that were not necessarily Christmas themed, okay? So we're going to go back and we're going to do fall and harvest theme. And we're going to add the fall and harvest theme colors. So we're going to go, let's see if we can go down here. Or actually, we're going to go back up to the, I guess it is down. We're looking for the colors, color palettes. Okay. So we're going to go with the earth tones. I'm going to put those here. Okay. Try 4 of those and see if we can change up the color scheme, because now we've named the color scheme and we're trying to get back to that more of the fallish colors. And those are very pretty. Those are actually very neutral colors that could be used anytime. So let's go back over here and let's go back to the seasonal, which is the seasonal. And we'll go back to the vintage, Thanksgiving, and autumn colors. Okay, so we're going to go back in here. And replace this with that. Those are really pretty colors, but to me they're not. This is because I've got vintage in there, the vintage harvest. So we're going to adapt those now. And rustic leaves, okay. And we are in the dark manga. Okay, so fall and harvest theme. I'm going to take that out and put the Thanksgiving and autumn earth tones. We're going to go back over here and we're going to go down to the colors, color palette. Let's see, we're going to go to the autumn warmth and specify that. And add it in here. But you can see the differences as we improve the variations with the detail, how much more detailed this is. Now, there we go. Now we're back full circle to our autumn. And then look at those gorgeous, just like this. Look at the gorgeous elements and how pretty those would be. Look how pretty the florals are and the little details. And this is, again, under dark manga. But look at this. We've even gotten some pumpkins. How gorgeous would this be? I've got to play with this. This one right here with the pumpkin. I didn't ask for a pumpkin, but it did it anyway. And I'm just gonna, I like that. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this one. We're gonna make a copy of it. Duplicate that page. We're gonna take and remove this. And then I'm going to upload this because this is so pretty. Remove the background and okay, this one we're going to enlarge it. There we are. We're going to make it bigger. And then we're going to put that there. With the pumpkin down there. We're going to actually remove the arch. And we're going to shift this down just a tiny little bit. And we're going to move everything over here. And then we're going to ungroup it. And this we're going to make it flat, like without the arch. And make this a little bit bigger and go up, make it a little bigger. So together with their families, Harley and Jack. Oh, that's good. We're going to make this a tiny bit smaller. I'm going to shift it over just so the pumpkin's right in the corner. And then we're going to put the reception to follow, but we're going to make it smaller. Reception to follow. Right there. Now, we don't really need anything else. Looks a little odd right there, so I think I would probably move that there and make this a little bit like that. We could move it down here, but then that's going to look odd too. So I think we would just do that. And then I want to say I can do a copy of this, and then we could either add this element here, which I'm not crazy about, or we can take and put this, we can make it almost transparent and have it kind of in the background. We could also take and change these colors out. Like that. And this. And then this could kind of be kind of a little accent like that, almost like a little engraving in the back. It's too much there, but right here, I think that's kind of pretty. Look how gorgeous that is. That one piece just made that whole entire invitation. So let's give this one a whirl again, just to see what we get, because those are lovely. So I guess this video has actually become all about dark manga, because I'm like in love with that setting, and I'm also in love with the oil painting elements too. But look how gorgeous these florals are. If you don't think Artistly can make beautiful florals, you are so mistaken. They are gorgeous. Okay, well, I think that I have pretty much exhausted this topic. So, the playbooks, if you don't have them, or if you have them and you're trying to figure out which ones you need to use, I used volume 1, which is the one that has this cover. And it actually is not referred to as volume 1. It was my first one. It's over 400 pages. And this is where we get all of I worked with it with the watercolor one and now with the oil painting one. And so I used this one as far as our styling and our texture, our techniques within the oil painting thing. And then I also went in for like our colors and, a lot of the other stuff. Now, volume 1 also has colors and stuff, but it was just easier. The way that I did volume 1 was a little bit different. So in a video, it's a little bit easier for me to pull out, because I know where some of the palettes are and stuff like that. So for the techniques and stuff, for the oil paintings and the watercolor and all the other ones, because it's packed full of all different art styles, and each one has different techniques, different textures, different brush strokes, and that sort of thing. And that's where you really get into designing and coming up with original things that everybody's not going to have something that looks just like it is when you start combining all those things, all those different ingredients, and playing with it until you get what you like. And then when you do, make sure you save those prompts in your prompt keeper that you know, either the one that I sell or either one that you've created, just so you're saving them. And then you can pull them back and then you can tweak from there. You can use them as is. You can change the subject. There's so many different ways you can use them. And then this is volume 2. And I've had several people asking me what, you know, kind of what's the difference between them and everything. So volume 2 is basically was geared for clip art. So it's very quick. You know, the information is in terminology and everything specific to clip art creators. Now, it doesn't mean you can't use it for other things. Let me be clear. Stickers, you know, all those kind of things basically use clip art. They just use a few extra words. And then I have the color playbook, which is just sort of breaks down colors, shadows, lighting, that kind of thing, and how what a difference those can make to your images when you also add those elements into your prompt. And then I've got the junk journal version. So the junk journal version is only available on Gumroad. And Gumroad, I have a current sale, and you have to have a code for it. It's summer 50. And so you can use that code to get a little discount if it is still current when you're watching the video. And I'm not sure exactly when that's going to go off. Etsy already has, for anybody buying on Etsy, all the other playbooks except for the junk journal one are available on Etsy. If you are in the EU, you do have to purchase your playbooks via Gumroad, because I've got that set up to, you know, with all of that safety regulation stuff. So anyway, the links are down in the description to get to both of my stores. Now, if you do not have Artistly, really, I can encourage you more to get it. It's just so versatile, and they're just always adding something and making it a better value. It's a one-time purchase, which makes it so much different than a lot of them. And it may not be perfect, but at least you're not paying a monthly fee for it. And once you pay for it that first time and you make that money back, then everything else is gravy. So that's why I use it. And I mean, literally, it is the only generator that I use to generate for my products that I put in the store. Currently, that is the case. Now, there may be something else that comes along later that I decide to build my products with, but I've been able to get everything I wanted to out of Artistly. And I started in the beginning when it was one generator and not all of these really cool styles and features that they have now. So if you want to buy Artistly, I would really appreciate you using my affiliate link. You can still use the codes. They actually have one currently, I believe, up in the top when you first click on my affiliate link. And so you're not going to be paying any extra to use it, but you do help me out, and it helps it make it worthwhile for me to produce these videos for you and help you to grow your business. And so that's much appreciated for everybody that has purchased, you know, through my link. And that link is down in the description as well. Be sure and join my Facebook group and my newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter. It's free, and it has lots of ideas on how you can actually sell, different things about digital products, and so all sorts of ideas. And I think that's it. Like I said, just check out the description. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you'll be notified when I put out new videos. And like the video, comment, share it with all your friends that are doing digital products. And until next time, happy creating.